If you have been staying up with recent game releases, then one game will probably ring a bell for you, Gotham Knights. And if you've been staying up to date on the release of Gotham Knights, then you would know all about the recent criticism it's been getting ever since its first reveal. Gotham Knights is an RPG set in a open world Gotham, similar to Arkham Knight, but comparing the two games has resulted in some mass disappointment since its launch.
Because you're good at what you do.
And why do I have to be you?
First of all, you will never be me.
This being due to the fact that the predecessor can't even hold a candle to the mark that was left by the Arkham series. A well-beloved series that fans just aren't ready to part with yet. The main reason as I see it for Gotham Knights being critiqued like it was because of the expectations for WB to release a Arkham game instead of what they did actually release. And since that wasn't the case, and Gotham Knights is a completely separate game in a completely separate universe, fans were disappointed. And it's not like I can exclude myself from that category. I also thought that Gotham Knights wasn't going to be a good game, not worth the $60 that it costs. Spending 30 hours playing this game fully twice, my opinion has definitely changed on the matter. I decided to buy Gotham Knights at full price, and now I have realized that I was very wrong. And without further ado, welcome back to another video on the channel. I'm Golden, and today we're going to be talking about Gotham Knights, why it was bad, and what it did good. If you're watching this video, you are one of two people. You either like Gotham Knights regardless of what IGN or Metacritic says, or you're wanting to buy this game, but all the bad reviews on this game are conflicting you. So why do people hate Gotham Knights so much? Why was it so hated at launch? Well, let's take it back a step. Gotham Knights was released October 21st, but even before that release date, Gotham Knights was hit with some pretty heavy criticism, most of it coming from the gameplay that they released. To be more specific, the combat. Gotham Knights combat was first shown to be boring and slow, and even I can admit that. But when you actually play the game, you see that it's not like that all the time. The gameplay was actually showing Red Hood playing, and the thing about him is that he's a pretty heavy hitter. His combat is really slow, and it just made the combat look like it was just generally slow. That's just how his character plays. Something really cool about this game is that each character has their own fighting style and fighting technique. So really it's your own personal preference if you want to do fast takedowns with Robin or Red Hood. Honestly, Red Hood is probably one of the worst playable characters in Gotham Knights, and that's mainly having to do with his melee combat. His combat is heavy hitting but slow. The reason his combat is slow is because it's not his main way of fighting. His actual main weapon are these dual pistols he has. There are many things that players weren't so happy to see when they saw the gameplay for the first time. The health bar was one of the most predominant issues that fans had with the gameplay. And, I felt the same way. When I saw the gameplay and saw the health bar, I thought, oh great, this is just another crappy Avengers game. A game so bad, in my opinion, that I played it twice, and I've dropped it both times, and I don't plan on ever picking it back up again, because it's boring. And that's exactly what I thought Gotham Knights was going to be like. So I can understand where fans are coming from when they don't buy the game and save their $60 for the next game that comes out. The combat ultimately isn't my favorite in this game. In fact, in superhero games, I'd probably rank it pretty low, but that's not to say that it's objectively bad. It definitely was enjoyable, especially when you first start out and you're, just beating up enemies at low levels. But after you start to get to that, 30 level mark, enemies start to become like bullet sponges, and I'm serious when I say that. And if you're playing on hard mode, forget about it. You will probably spend 3 to 5 business days trying to defeat old Bessie here. Now, of course, you can get mods and also upgrade your suits with a higher level gear, but when you're level 22 and you're on a level 26 mission, that can really only get you so far. Luckily, the game includes something called premeditated crimes, and these can vary in difficulty. From very low to very high. Very low usually includes enemies that are below your level, and then very high usually has levels 1 to 3 higher than your current level. So the game really tries to get you to take a break from doing story and side missions to grind out these crimes and stay on level with the rest of the game. Now, the whole leveling system along with the armor system is what I believe to be the biggest turnoff for Arkham fans. It's just such a different concept that you wouldn't really think it'd work in this kind of game. I believe the concept of it can seem pretty bad, especially if you were hoping for another Arkham game, but even for the not ideal system, they still handled it decently well. We may not have wanted this system, but that's not to say it's a bad system. I personally like the gear that you can craft and earn, with different mods that you can equip. The only problem I have about it is that the only real factor in grinding gear and mods is that the only thing you need to become more powerful is a higher power level. Now, me personally, I hated this system. The power level system is just a lazy way to add exponential growth to your character strength based on your level and enemy levels. There's nothing really intricate or complex about how you make your character stronger. And that's where I feel Gotham Knights really falls short. I really feel like they could have done a lot more than they actually did. Something with a little bit more depth to it. When you change your armor every 10 to 15 minutes because you can craft one with +2 to the power level, seeing different attributes for these different armors would have been a nice touch. The closest thing we have to that is the elements. Now, if you don't know, Gotham Knights actually have these things called elements. These different elements can be crafted with your armor. Now, you can't actually add these to your armor. When you craft your armor or, weapon, whatever, you can actually craft it with it. So you can also make your decision on whether you want to up your power level or you want to keep your current element instead of changing it or just getting rid of it altogether, because sometimes you can craft items with no elements. These are the different element types. You have Toxic, which deals damage over time once the meter is full. Then there's Cryogenic. You freeze enemies in place, and frozen enemies will take more damage. Then we have Bioelectric. You can shock the enemy and stun them in place. Incendiary. It deals damage over time, and the enemy will try to extinguish the fire, which is actually good if you're trying to distract them. Finally, Concussive. Enemies suffering from it are stunned for a period of time. Personally, I find myself using Cryogenic more than any others, and then also Incendiary is actually probably a close second. I think Incendiary is probably good for ranged weapons more than anything. But one that I still have not used, even to this day, even after beating the game twice, I still have never used Bioelectric. So I really can't speak on it. Concussive is probably the worst and most boring element in the game. I don't really see why anyone would use it over literally any other element. So what does Gotham Knights do well? Enough with all the negatives about Gotham Knights. Let's talk about some of my favorite aspects of the game and the gameplay alike. Something I feel that people hate on way too much is the bat cycle. Even when I first started playing the game, I thought the bat cycle was pretty lame. But here I am with the game beaten twice, and I'm still finding myself using it for everything. I don't even really fast travel unless I'm returning to the Belfry, and if I'm being honest, I use it more than my knighthood abilities, especially since I'm maining Robin, whose knighthood ability is, well, let's just say it's less than spectacular. In fact, his knighthood ability is terrible. It's boring, slow, and repetitive, and it's just not good. It doesn't fit his character either at all. It kind of feels like something they just kind of pulled out of a hat. Like, it really doesn't seem like it would be canon. Robin's knighthood ability, for those of you who don't know, is basically a teleport ability. You can teleport midair using the Justice League's equipment and space. Yeah, I know. Sounds ridiculous, right? I don't ever use it. It's not a fun ability. Yeah, I know. Sounds ridiculous, right? I don't ever use it. It's just not a fun ability. He definitely has the worst knighthood ability in the game, with Red Hood coming in as his close second. I have to give credit where credit is due, though, because Nightwing and Batgirl's knighthood abilities are actually pretty nice. Nightwing's knighthood abilities are actually pretty nice. Nightwing's Fortnite glider can definitely be a little bit wonky at times, but it's still a good way to get around fast. Batgirl definitely has the best knighthood ability, hands down. And it's no surprise either, since she basically has Batman's and she uses a cape to glide. It's too bad she sucks as a character. And finally, we have Red Hood's knighthood ability, and his is literally a leap in mid-air. It's kind of ridiculous. It's kind of like the leap that the Flash does in the CW show, whenever he can leap mid-air. It's kind of like that kind of concept, I feel like. Probably, differently, it works differently. I'm not sure how it works, and I really don't care, because it's kind of a trash ability. Now let's talk a little bit about the open world side of Gotham. Regardless of what you say about the graphics in Gotham Knights, you cannot say that Gotham does not look amazing in this game. The building, the landscape, it all looks nice. The only real issue I can see is that the streets and the sidewalks are dead. I guess being able to run over and kill random citizens kind of makes up for that now, doesn't it? I think the biggest issue in this game for me is that no character is perfect. Every character has something that makes them bad. Robin's combat is great, but his knighthood ability sucks. Link's knighthood ability is good, but his combat is slow. Batgirl's combat sucks, but she has a really good knighthood ability. And finally, Red Hood, he just kind of sucks. So in conclusion, should you buy Gotham Knights? I think if you are a Batman fan and you like those kind of grind set games, this game would be perfect for you. But if you like pixel perfect combat and story driven games and a lot of depth to the game, this game is not for you. Now, I think this is a perfect place to wrap up this video. This video needs to be done, and I have to edit this in like 3 hours. I don't have enough time to do that, but I have to upload it because, I said I would stay on the Sunday schedule. I just got a late start, and then I had a lot of technical difficulties all today, so this video was just a big mess. But here we are, finally done. Hopefully I'll have this video up by 7 o'clock, probably not. But regardless, if you guys enjoyed this video, make sure to drop a like, subscribe. Hopefully next week, Sunday, I'll have a good on-time video. I plan on making a video on Modern Warfare. Let's see if that works out. Hopefully it does. If you guys enjoyed this video, I already told you what to do. Peace out.